What is going on, guys? Crucible here, and today we're going to do our official Set 3 tier list for all of the leaders and decks in Fusion World. I don't think this list is going to change too much from what my prediction list was. I think there might be a couple things that probably will have gone up and a couple things that have gone down, but I think for the most part, the decks itself have kind of been pretty consistent for the most part. But you guys can let me know what you guys think once all is said and done. Let's just kind of get into it. So we're going to start off, I think, with red. We'll start off with the red decks. So first, let's start with Beerus. I think Beerus is a strong contender. I would maybe argue that Beerus is probably one of the best, if not the best, red leader still. He is doing a lot with the amount of cards that he runs that have minusing effects. Between all the minusing effect cards as well as his leader ability, Beerus does not have an issue with keeping things off of your opponent's board. And the thing that really kind of makes this guy stand out even more so now is the fact that he got the 3-cost Beerus that plays the 5-cost for 1 energy cheaper. He self-awakens, which is great for Beerus. Beerus can always use self-awakening options on curve. The fact that he, again, is able to swing for 20k and then destroy him, play the 5-cost on board for the 35 crit. You don't even need to use the board clearing effect of that Beerus at that particular moment. Like, you could just play him for some extra, play. And considering that Beerus is a 5-cost, blue with all the removal that it's gotten this set, it's a lot harder to remove that Beerus now than it is before, just because you need to play something to minus. Like, you're at 4, you need to be at 4 energy to make that double Beerus play. And there's not really much that your opponent can do except for maybe play the 1-cost Mai to lower the cost, and then Sinister Sickle. But that takes up your whole turn, and you're only getting 1 attack in with that, so you're not going to see that kind of play often. Anyway, Beerus is just good all around. Now, I don't know what I really expect from Beerus going forward. I expect maybe something with a little extra draw power, nothing too crazy for the deck, but as it stands right now, he's really good. U7 Goku, I would probably put U7 as a decent... I've always said that U7 Goku is like a fair deck. His deck in particular, he's not really doing anything that's like super standout, but he's not like underwhelming in his performance either. He's doing everything you're gonna want him to do. You play U7 cards, you boost all of your U7 cards by 5,000 on your turn, and you just get a lot of extra value out of those swings because he's boosting everything up by 5. But all the cards that you're running in him, like, nothing too crazy. The 3-cost Gohan becomes a 30k. You got the Draw-Ku, which is great in this deck. Draw-Ku goes up to 30, and he can draw with every swing that he does, so it's a little extra draw power for him. And then you could still run the Kefla and play Universe 7 stuff. It's just a strong deck. Your Double Striker, your 5-cost Beerus go up to 40k. Your 2-cost Krillins are 25k. There's so much good U7 options in red right now that I can't justify putting this guy any lower than decent. He's definitely nowhere close to some of the other red decks in the set, but he's a good middle ground. He's a real good middle ground. Then we got Starter Ku. Starter Ku, I would probably put as like a flex option. And the only reason I put him in a flex option, and when I say flex, I mean that he has the potential to be really good and do a lot for your deck and help you push yourself up to becoming a decent to strong tiered option. Or sometimes, depending on your matchup, he doesn't do enough for you and he kind of goes down to more of a locals tier where you might get some use out of him at locals. Starter Ku is really good for decks for cards that don't necessarily have like an archetype. Like Universe 6. Universe 6 doesn't have a leader, and so therefore a lot of the Universe 6 cards don't get a whole lot of use out of any of the other real leaders in this, out of the other red leaders from the past 3 sets. So Starter Coup is actually pretty good when it comes to that because it allows you to boost up any card on offense or defense if you need to. And it gives some of those more niche cards something to kind of bounce off of and work with. But, I mean, U7 is just outright better than Starter Coup. Starter Coup is a decent leader. He's just not doing enough to really, like, help him out. Then we got Top Coup. Obviously, set 2 ban list really hurt Top Coup quite a bit. But it's clear now that we got set 3. We see a lot of the support that he got in set 3. And after the ban list, he was probably sitting down here in cooler tier because he's not, he wasn't able to do anything in set 2. Now that he's in set 3, I would probably say he's probably locals. He's probably locals tier. There's a couple options you can now run in Top Coup. That's Tournament of Power option that can maybe help this guy stand out a bit more. But when it comes to using his leader effect to get something out onto the board for cheaper, there's not really many good options that you can play off of him. Like, you could still play the Kefla if you have it. Play something else. You got the 3-cost Vegeta that can go up to 50k if you discard 2. You got I think the Kabbas, some of the Kabbas and the other Keflas you can bounce off this guy. The promo Gohan is still a decent option for him. I mean, this guy can do some stuff. He's not quite a dead leader like he was after the set 2 ban list, but he's definitely struggling compared to some of these other leaders, I think. Now, that'll all depend on what happens in set 4, if Top Coup gets some support in set 4, but we shall see what comes of that. But I think he's okay. He's just okay now. He's not anything crazy. He's not doing the crazy things he was in set 2, but he is still a good option. Then we go to Jiren, and I would say Jiren is a strong leader. He is doing. The only reason I put him below Beerus is due to the fact that Beerus has a bit more control that he's able to do on your opponent. And Jiren's whole gimmick is having 30Ks on board. If he has a 30K on board, he can only ever take 1 damage in battle. So your Rumshis, your Double Strikers, your 5-cost Beerus, your 4-cost Jirens, anything like that, all those cards are able to facilitate his leader ability. And then on top of that, you're taking into account that the SR Jiren is able to not only be KO'd, not only needs to be KO'd twice, but he's also able to just completely nullify attacks on your leader if you use his ability as well. And because the leader ability of Jiren is so strong, not only are you taking a life by using the SR Jiren effect, you're also replacing it and still drawing a card. So you're drawing 2 every time and nullifying the attack. It's a very strong combo. And the reason Beerus stays above this is because he's able to kind of negate the 30,000 on board. So it allows you to like really just kind of mess with your opponent a little bit. You can still double strike at 3 if you minus the 30 costs on board and whatnot. And you could just remove them outright with Beerus as opposed to just KOing them. So I think Beerus is just a little bit stronger than Jiren, but as a reversal, the 3-cost Vegeta is really good in Jiren, and it can completely shut down Beerus if you let it stay on the board too long. So I mean, Jiren's got some stuff going for him, and if he gets a bit more support with some more like Universe 7 Pride Trooper stuff going into next set, I could see him actually like being the standout option. Maybe something that offers more of the life heal that he's kind of already doing. Would be kind of interesting to see, but I like Jiren. Jiren's really fun. He's really strong. Definitely not top tier because the stuff in top tier is kind of able to get around him like well enough, but he is still a strong contender. Then let's go into blue. Goku Black. I love Goku Black still. The problem with Goku Black is that he didn't get anything in set 3 really. The only card that he got in set 3 is the 2-cost crit Vegeta that self-awakens. And even then, like, it's not like enough to really boost this guy up in any way. It just kind of makes him a little more consistent. So Goku Black still kind of suffers from the same problem that he always has, and that's he relies way too heavily on his searcher options. And as we know, searchers in Masters or Fusion World here, they are awful because you can just whiff on a draw and not be able to really do anything about that. But Goku Black has always been the ultimate flex option. He's always been the ultimate flex option. If he can see his ceiling and play his ceiling in sequence, like he is a top contender, he can easily be one of the stronger decks in the format. But if you're whiffing on your searchers, if you're not able to see your 6 costs or even your 4 costs often enough, it really does set Goku Black back, and it really does hurt him quite a bit. So, but he's still a fun deck to play. I love playing Goku Black. He's just a lot of fun. Yeah, it's just he's the ultimate flex option in this particular format. Then we got Trunks. I would say Trunks is decent now. I would say Trunks is decent. All of the set blue cards in set 3 have really benefited Trunks. Most of the stuff that helps him are Earthlings. So Videl is able to keep the recursion going. Gohan is able to, bounce stuff back at 3. They're still running the Vegetos for the bouncing potentials and whatnot. He still bounces 3 costs or even 4 costs or less back to hand. Trunks is still a decent leader. I would like to see some stuff come out for Trunks that kind of separates him from, spoiler alert, Vegeta, who is arguably probably one of the best decks in the format right now. Because right now, Trunks isn't really running too much differently from what the Vegeta is running in most quote-unquote meta builds. And I would like to see him just get some semblance of identity. We kind of saw that a little bit with the 2-cost Trunks that's able to bounce stuff to the bottom of the deck. And just utilizing the Time Machine extra card. There's a little bit of that was kind of given, but I don't think it's enough to really make this guy stand out. But again, the blue package is really strong now. Blue is able to do a lot more now, and is probably arguably one of the better colors in the format. So that kind of already puts Trunks in a good spot. But yeah, just want some more out of this guy, honestly. Then we have Vegeta. Yeah, we'll do Vegeta now since we talked about it. Vegeta's top tier. Vegeta is just that guy. He is able to completely control the board with 3-cost Vegito into 4-cost Gohan, bottoming 4 decks. You run Sinister Sickles in there. You're bouncing a lot of the stuff in you're bouncing a lot of the cards in black and red and stuff that are detrimental to your matches. Like being able to bounce the 4-cost Jiren at any time, being able to bounce the 5-cost Double Striker Bardock, or even the Secret Rare in black is really good. Blue and yellow were kind of like neck and neck in the past sets, but now it seems like blue is actually kind of one-upped yellow in every aspect, and is now able to actually pilot around yellow pretty decently now too. Even with all the barrier options, the few barrier options they got isn't doing enough against blue to really warrant playing in that matchup. But Vegeta's just that good. Plus the fact that he's able to swing for 35k himself is really strong. Boost him up with Bulma, obviously, or even the 4-cost Vegeta that can boost him up by 5. There's a lot of options to make this Vegeta extremely strong. And he's just that guy again. Vegeta, it just take a look at our showcase video for Vegeta, and you can see for yourself everything that Vegeta is able to do. But he's really good. Then we got Zamasu. Zamasu is in an interesting spot. I would imagine that he could probably be. I think he's probably decent, maybe on the higher end of decent. Maybe it's more like that. Zamasu is great because he's a generic leader, and you don't necessarily have to build him a certain way. You can kind of run whatever you want from the blue package to kind of facilitate this guy. He's got a very generic ability on his Awakened side, which allows him to go back to 3 life when he's down at 2 energy. But it's also very niche too. And the 25, and so like he's always been like this defensive juggernaut of a deck where you just defend everything for as long as you possibly can and just get occasional swings on your opponent to bring them down as you kind of play. But outside of that, he's not really doing anything too special. He's kind of just using everything else the blue is already using. But stuff like U7 Goku here. Beerus is able to keep board in check. Vegeta is just outright stronger in every way with all the cards that are available to him now. Like there are just better blue decks than this guy, and it shows. Excuse me, need a drink there. All right, and then last for blue we got Halo Ku. I would say Halo Ku is strong. I believe when I did my prediction video, I put Halo Ku up at the top, but after messing around with him a little bit and seeing what other players are kind of doing, I don't think he's better than Vegeta. Vegeta just has so much more offensive pressure than what this Goku is doing defensively, and the thing that kind of holds this Goku back is the Satan City package. Satan City in itself is fine, but if you aren't able to keep those Satan City cards on board and utilize cards like Girls with Short Hair to facilitate your hand and keep your hand stocked up, he kind of falls to the wayside after a little while. He's only a 20k leader, and I don't think you're getting a whole lot of value out of the field card. The amount of times I played a Halo Ku player where they had the field on board and they maybe use the field card to get like a Videl on board for free, essentially, is like whatever. Like it's not like that detrimental. Like the biggest thing that he's running is like he's obviously going to be running like the 4-cost Gohan, but even then, like his bouncing options are a bit restricted, depending on how you build the deck. If you're not able to get those costs down on your opponent, 3 costs or less isn't like some of these decks just don't run it. Like he doesn't do it. This guy doesn't do really a lot into green. This guy doesn't do a whole lot into black, depending on if you're able to keep your board or not. He's strong. It's just he's not stronger than Vegeta, and I think he needs more. I think he needs more of the Satan City package to really like stand out and be its own thing, you know. So, all right, next we go into green. Droids, easily number 1 green deck. Green's in a weird spot right now. They didn't really get like a whole lot of support this set, and the support that they did get is stuff for Piccolo, and it's not really doing anything. It's not doing a whole lot for Piccolo, so it's okay. It's okay. Like, but the droids here though are like really good still. Like the 4-cost ramping droids is such a strong card. I'm still of the mindset that stuff like Pilaf and those droid cards and maybe Broly need to be limited in some fashion, because playing those types of cards back to back to back, it's so exhausting to deal with. And it's so exhausting to deal with. It's not fun to fight against, and it really is just like the fact that droids. I'm kind of losing my train of thought here, and I apologize. The fact that droids on turn 4 at 5 energy is able to. The fact that they are able to play. They're able to, no, is it 5 energy or 6? It might be one of the two. You guys will know what I'm talking about. They're able to play this on turn 4 at 5 energy to basically only pay them for 1 and get 3 energy back. Then you're playing droids again, and then they can do double strike droids after that. I've seen that play so many times. I think it might be 6 energy that you play that at. But yeah, ramp droids into double strike droids is the most aggressive thing I think I've ever seen green do, and it's strong for a reason. And then on top of that, you have to deal with that nonsense, but you also have to deal with Broly's on board too, potentially a Cell or two. Droids is just that deck. And they're really good for a reason. But yeah, it's just they're top dog. They're top dog. Then we got Gohan. I would say Gohan is a bottom tiered flex option. He was really bad in set 2. He didn't really get any sort of support. He got some support in set 2, but it wasn't really enough in that current meta to really like warrant running him. Now with some of the Piccolo options that came with Piccolo in set 3, Gohan's actually pretty decent now. You kind of have to play around his leader ability a little bit. You're not really using that until you're at 8 energy or higher. And you're kind of just doing what you can to kind of control the board as best as you possibly can until you can actually do some of your late game plays with him. So it takes a little bit longer for him to get like moving, but once he gets moving, he can get pretty moving. Now that said, he's just like Goku Black in the sense that you need to see your tall and you need to see your ramp options fast enough in order to be able to get there. And if you're not able to get there, well, you're probably down here in the locals tier. But if he gets there, he'd be up here probably around the decent tier. So I put him in the flex tier just because he's got some flexibility. He's able to be better than all of the decks in decent, but there's times where he might not actually be good where he might be more locals than anything else. But that said, there have been times where the 3-cost Goku that ramps a card into your opponent's energy has been very detrimental to Jiren. So like he's got some options into Jiren. But everything else like might be a little questionable. Then we got Cell. Cell's decent. Cell is still really good. He got some options going into set 3. He got another 8-cost Cell that he can play that ramps your entire board. That ramps your opponent's board into the energy if you needed to. Just if he can get on curve, he is really good. He is able to just outplay. He probably outplays Trunks. Yeah, just going to 5 energy, using leader ability to go up to 6 energy, playing your Cell Games Arena to then ramp yourself up to 7 energy, and then your following turn you can play Cell, and you can do that whole loop back to back to back every turn is really strong. So I mean, Cell can play the game. He is able to do things that some of these other green decks are not able to do. But he does struggle in terms of getting to that point if he's not able to play optimally like that. So, Cell, that's why I put Cell at decent. He needs a couple things, I think, to really stand out and maybe come up here to the strong tier. But for what he is doing, he is pretty good with what he is able to do. So, then we got Broly. Broly is an outlier. Broly is, once again, he's a generic leader. He probably benefits more from the Saiyan package than anything else. But once again, it's just like set 3, he got some options with the Piccolo stuff, but it's nothing crazy that's really like shooting him above and beyond other decks. I would maybe say that he's probably around this spot here. Maybe above Zamasu. I would maybe put him above Zamasu. Yeah, I'd be fine with that. The biggest detriment right now for Broly, though, is the fact that he needs to awaken. He ramps a life into his energy at 4 to go down to 3. And against Sphere of Destruction, which is the best card to use against Broly, it forces your Broly to go down to 2 with Sphere of Destruction in red. And that's a really bad spot for Jiren to be in. That's why I don't put him higher on this list. Because red is able to kind of push back against green pretty hard now. Like U7 Goku is always going to have 25k swings into him. Jiren has stuff on his board that is just able to swing above him and even keep stuff clear. Makes it a little harder for Broly to even do anything into Jiren. Sphere of Destruction is a big outlier, is able to do some stuff. Beerus can control the board pretty decently into Broly now. Broly doesn't have anything really crazy going for him to be able to stand out against red. And that's why I put him down lower on the tier list. He's still decent. You can still make it work for you. But it's just, you gotta build him the right way, I think, to really like capitalize on him. But even then, I think he still needs options. And then we have Piccolo. as much as I would like to put Piccolo in the flex tier, this is one of the big changes, I think, from the predictions video. Maybe... I'd say he's probably top of locals. There's things that this Piccolo can do that really shows what he's capable of. Like, Piccolo is the ultimate definition of potential. He has a lot of potential. The problem is that the stuff that he's gotten right now in set 3, he is building... offensively, I think Piccolo can be great, but he is ramping so slow. And I don't know if that's intentional because of how the Special Beam Cannon builds up, and like that's how he's kind of built around with the Special Beam Cannon, but the restriction of him having to be at 8 energy to do everything that he wants to do really holds him back. And so, in my testing, from streams, off camera, with friends, there's been matches where like my opponent wasn't able to find their curve, but we were able to get our curve. And so there's times where Piccolo can be a flex option because once he hits that mark, that benchmark where he's able to do all those 8 cost options, he's able to play Special Beam Cannon for free off of the 6-drop leader. He's playing those secret rare Gohans to boost himself up. Double 70 swings. You swing into your opponent once. You know your opponent's going to take that hit because they're not blocking out of 70,000 power. And then using that 70,000 power a second time to clear something troublematic on board. And being able to draw 2 cards while doing that is great. Like the 6 cost Piccolo is also good. He's 30k. He plays all your extra cards for free once per turn. If he gets KO'd, then he gives Piccolo life back, which is great. I've been running a package where like I run the Piccolo, I run a full playset of the Piccolo, but then I also have like the Life Han at 6 because sometimes just getting that energy outright just goes a long way. Especially if you already have Piccolo on the board and you just do back-to-back Life Han spam. Like it gets really hard it can be really hard for your opponent, but it's the matter of him having to get there. If he can get there, then Piccolo is definitely a flex option. But more times than not, he's going to be something that you only kind of play at locals, and he's a fun deck to kind of build and test with and do some stuff here and there, but he's not doing enough to combat against what the current meta is doing. So it's unfortunate. I really like what Piccolo is able to do, and I hope in set 4 he's able to get some extra stuff that kind of makes him a little bit faster. Like, there's no reason that some of these green decks can't be like droids up here. Like, the droids play too fast now, in my opinion. Which is why I say the 4-cost droids needs to be limited to like 2 or something, because compared to every other green deck, the droids are just, they're playing the game different. They're playing it so differently from the rest of the green decks. And I don't think that that should be the case. I think all of the options should be relatively balanced in some regard. So the fact that like none of these green decks are like up in like even the strong tier is like a little detrimental, a little sad, honestly. But we'll see. We'll see what happens with Piccolo. Hopefully Piccolo gets his wings and he's able to do some things. Now we get into yellow. Oh, poor yellow. Cooler. He's cooler tier. I will say cooler is like one good option away from being out of cooler tier and into locals. You can do some stuff with the meta cooler shenanigans, like meta cooler core with the blocker cooler can actually go a pretty long way, especially since you're able to activate the 4-cost meta cooler core ability twice with cooler's leader effect. There's some shenanigans you can do with cooler. And obviously you've got barrier options now in yellow, which is actually really good for cooler. That gives cooler some extra aggressive support that is able to kind of keep him in the running. Playing stuff like the 3-cost Vegeta to kind of protect your rested stuff on board is really good. But in terms of like what he's doing, he's still down here. I think he, like, compared to every other deck in the format, I don't think he's doing nearly enough to really warrant playing him at all. That said, though, like I said, I think cooler is like one option away. He is one option away from being out of this tier for him. Like I said, some of the stuff he has right now is unique and fun and can be interesting. It's just not worth playing when some of this other stuff is just better all around. And something's got to be at the bottom of the tier out of all these decks, and unfortunately it is just him. And then we got Ginyu. Ginyu I'm going to put in flex tier. Ginyu I'm going to put in flex tier. If he's able to spam his Ginyu shenanigans and build his board wide like he's always been able to do since set 1, like he has the potential to be a strong deck. But at the same time, if you don't find your pieces, if you aren't able to do it, he can go down to locals. He's not doing anything different from what he's normally been doing. He's been getting a couple options here and there. The new Raccoon goes a long way. But really, you're playing the same exact package. And unfortunately, I think for Yellow as a whole, I think the Ginyu package, yeah, I think the Raccoon to Ginyu package, I think is falling out just a little bit. Because I don't think it's doing nearly as much as it was before. But, I mean, Ginyu, you can still have fun with Ginyu. You could still get lucky and, like, maybe even top at your locals with a Ginyu deck. But, it really is kind of dependent on your curve and if you're able to find your pieces. Majin Buu. I expected more out of Majin Buu, honestly. I wish there was more. Majin Buu. Majin Buu, I kind of wish he had more going for him. I wish that he had better Wicked Soul and an Evil Wizard options to play off of his ability, but unfortunately he is more of a locals deck, I think, right now. Would I put him above Top Ku or Piccolo? It's hard to say. I would say he's maybe middle of the road for locals. Majin Buu got some options with his barrier options, but the majority of the time you're going to be playing like some of the stuff that already kind of exists. You're playing the Freeze Goku. You're playing you're playing the Majin Vegeta that came out with him. You're still running Double Striker. You're still running the Secret Rare in yellow. He just doesn't have enough options to warrant his leader ability, and you're just better off running other yellow stuff in comparison. If he gets stronger options down the road, maybe it would be better. I'm still of the mindset that he should have been playing out 3 costs or less Evil Wizard Wicked Souls, or maybe even specifically like a means to be able to play a barrier or Majin Buu off of his leader ability would have been a little better. I just think his leader ability is extremely undertuned, and there's just no reason to run this guy over other yellow leaders with some of the Majin Buu stuff that came out with him. Then we got Yellow Vegeta. Yellow Vegeta's pretty good, all things considered. I would maybe say that Vegeta is probably the strongest yellow deck at this point. Just the defensive capability he's able to have by just constantly having active energy, by constantly being able to protect your stuff on board and your life by using like star cards like Time Rewound. He got some more options with the Majin Buu stuff. Like there's the Yamu extra card that freezes and draws when you freeze a 4 cost or higher. You got Turn to Candy, which can kill your cantrips, and then you're drawing 2 cards. Vegeta has so many defensive options at his disposal that it is a little hard for me to justify putting him any lower than strong. Definitely on the lower end of strong, but he can definitely put in some work. I've seen some people, I think Zatumi on YouTube, he ran in the digital online tournament. He was able to get placed, like was 3-2 I think at his tournament, placed 42nd in his bracket, which is pretty solid. So yeah, I mean, and then you're also running obviously the barrier stuff. You're running the stuff you did before too. The Majin Vegeta goes a long way with just KOing stuff on your opponent's board. Yeah, like Blue Vegeta is just really strong now and really defensive for what he's able to do. Big glow up from set 2. He was not this good in set 2. Now I'd say he's probably up there. And then finally we got Frieza. I would say Frieza is still decent. And it's sad that he's kind of been dethroned just a little bit, but I would probably say around here maybe. Maybe there. Yeah, I'd probably put Frieza there. Frieza is again, it's just he got some options with the Majin Buu stuff, the Barrier Buu. Majin Vegeta is able to do some board clearing. Some of the extra cards are just better for Frieza now than just using Death Ball and whatnot. Like, Frieza got some options. Unfortunately, it's not enough for him to really keep his spot where he was at. You could put some work in with Frieza, but again, it depends on finding your curve, being able to play the stuff out in a timely manner the way you want it to. And just in terms of ability, you're getting a lot more usage out of Vegeta's ability than you are Frieza's ability. If you're running the Buu package, you're basically putting your Majin Buus in active mode. You're not letting it stay in rest. Your Majin Vegetas, you're maybe putting that into active and not in rest. Whereas with the Vegeta, you're able to kind of protect all your stuff in rest, while also, you know, playing on the defensive as well. So, I don't know. I like Frieza still. I still think he's my favorite yellow leader out of everybody, but he could definitely use some options to make him a little bit better. I can't justify him being better than Blue Vegeta, though. And then finally, we got the black options. Neither of these options are top tier, in my opinion. I would say, though, I think that I would maybe put Bardock above Goku. Only because Bardock is a bit more consistent than Goku is. Black is in a really weird spot where playing the secret rare back to back to back, if you're not able to keep those secret rares on board, it feels really bad to constantly be playing them back to back to back, because it doesn't do enough, in my opinion. Still the best secret rare in the game, don't get me wrong. And it's definitely a 4 of in the deck because you want to see that and you want to be able to play them. But when you have stuff like, when you have like Beerus that's able to minus them off board pretty easily, when you have Vegeta that's just outright able to just bottom deck them like whenever, or KO them because of how much stronger they are. The fact that, you know, Green still has Broly's and stuff, and Big Bang Attack is now in circulation in a lot of green decks. So there's a lot of options that can just remove the 4-cost Goku. So I don't think the Goku is as strong as people are making it out to be. Still the best, like, again, still the best secret rare, but there's just other stuff that you could be playing that is just better. Like the Double Striker, in my opinion, is better than the secret rare. And I think these two decks rely on the secret on the Double Striker a lot more often than the secret rare, personally. Bardock is a bit more consistent. He's able to maybe potentially, he can scry the deck, which is valuable in its own right. And then on occasion, he's able to combo something for free off the top of the deck, which allows him to be a bit more aggressive. Whereas the Goku plays more defensively. You're able to, you can use the marker or an energy to boost up the attack power of some of your battle cards, swing for a little bit higher than normal. It's a great combination with the double attacker Bardock. Or you could play defensive by boosting up one of your cards to like 30, 35, 40, and just kind of keep them alive a little bit longer going into the following turn. They're both solid decks. But Black right now, they're strong, but they're lacking options. A lot of the generic Black stuff is decent, but it's not enough to really like skyrocket Black into like top of the meta. If they because it's the first set that Black has been introduced with, it's great that they're at this position with only having one set worth of stuff to use. But going into set 4, I expect Black to get a lot more options that allow them to play more diverse play styles going forward. Because right now they're both kind of running the same package. They're playing the exact same way. You're playing the Black deck based off of the leader, not necessarily the package that it comes with. So, but Bardock's also able to go into Jiren a little bit better. And he's just because of his offensiveness. But the problem just being is that Droids plays really fast. They play too fast for some of these Black decks. Vegeta is able to keep everything in Black under control. Beerus is able to keep everything under control. if Jiren's able to get more than one copy of Jiren on the board, Black can't do anything about about that, unfortunately. They don't have enough KO potential to really do anything to Jiren, unfortunately. So, but yeah, that's our tier list. Again, I think it's updated a little bit. I don't think it changed around too much. There might be some things that might have changed, but I think for the majority, it's kind of stayed the same. I think the decent to strong and flex options are about the same. I don't think this section has changed all that much. It's more so just my thoughts on some of these other options here that have kind of changed. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Do you guys agree with this list? Do you think that there's some things that you would change around? Again, these are all just my opinions, and this is in no way a reflection of what the actual like meta is doing, nor is this like saying what is like tournament viable and what isn't, because I'm sure someone out there is going to go to regionals and championships with a deck that's not top tier on this list. So but yeah, you just let me know what you guys think down below. I'm open to having a discussion and kind of just talking it out with you guys. But like and subscribe for more, and I will see you guys all in the next video. Peace.